Hey, beautiful soul. Welcome in for another episode of Spirit Speakeasy as we wrap up this year and start leaning into the energy of a brand new one. I thought it would be so much fun to bring you something a little different this week. Today is an episode that I have been planning for a long time. Today, we're dipping into the archives and pulling out some of my absolute favorite pearls of wisdom, those powerful little moments from guests who've shared not only their stories, but their gifts, their expertise, and the hard won truths that have shaped their own journeys. For those of you that are new, the first time a new guest visits the pod, I ask them a series of questions at the end of the interview that we lovingly call around here the Spirit Speed Round. One of those questions is, will you leave us with a pearl of wisdom? Share something that you wish you'd known earlier in your journey with your gifts or in your area of expertise, depending on the guest. So, this episode is a collection of those answers gathered from some of the very special, beautiful soul luminaries of our time that we have had the honor of having as guests on this podcast. Think of this episode as a pocket full of pearls that you can carry into the new year. Little reminders of who you are, what you're capable of, and the magic that's already moving through your life. These are some of the most generous, insightful souls I've ever had on the show, each offering a perspective that can spark something new, inspire your next step, or quietly confirm what your intuition has already been whispering to you as we cross over into the new year. So settle in, take a breath, get ready for a beautiful mix of wisdom, heart, humor, and soul. Let's close out 2025 with some guidance that you can actually use and a few sparkling reminders that you're not walking into this next year alone. All right, let's dive into our first pearl. This first pearl of wisdom comes from Michelle Simmons from episode 125. Inside the Life of a Medium with Michelle Simmons from June 16th, 2025. Michelle is a friend and such a special soul. She's so grounded and heart forward as an evidential medium. And in this episode, she shares with so much honesty and warmth her experience, what surprised her most about her gifts as they deepened, what really shaped her along her path as moments. Here's her pearl. You leave us with a pearl of wisdom. What's one piece of advice you wish that you had had earlier on in your understanding of your gifts?
That it keeps changing, and that the way they communicate with you keeps changing, and it is ever evolving. And you just learn more and more, and you just don't get to the end of the line. There's no one and done. It is ongoing. So I think it's always spiritual exploration of ourselves, our abilities, and opening up our hearts as much as we can and healing ourselves as much as we can to help heal other people on the planet. Well, they heal themselves, but beautiful. To aid that.
The next pearl of wisdom comes from Carolyn Wilkins from her first appearance on the podcast, episode 2, Mediumship Meets Jazz with Carolyn Wilkins, Akashic Trance Piano Healing from December 12th of 2022. Carolyn in this episode blends mediumship and music in this really incredibly magical way, and her Akashic Trance Piano Healing work is truly something to experience. And in this conversation, she opens up about how creativity becomes a spiritual bridge and what she's learned about surrendering to the flow of higher guidance. Plus, if you missed it in this episode, she actually gives us a trance piano healing session. Here's Carolyn's pearl of wisdom. Okay, leave us with one pearl of wisdom. What's one piece of advice that you wish that you had had early in your understanding of these gifts?
Yeah, I think it's to understand that the media image, or the image that's often in the movies of, first of all, supernatural as something terrifying or overwhelming, or you have poltergeists and things shaking or your head's turning around backwards, all that stuff, to just throw that out, both the fear of it, because I think that held my development back a little bit, because I'm a very practical, earthed kind of person. And I'm like, well, if this means that I'm going to be having poltergeists and ghosts and flying around, and I'm going to have panic attacks, like Teresa Caputo, and she got to have panic attacks and she can't get in the car, and Lord have mercy. I don't want to be that person. And I think it was really important for me to realize that everyone's gifts come to them in different ways. There is no one way to be a psychic or to be a medium, and we all have gifts and talents. And not to feel like, oh, if I don't get panic attacks and I don't see a spirit walking around sitting on my front porch in the morning when I get up, if I don't literally see people, I'm not a medium. I think that for those of you out there listening that might be aspiring mediums, to understand that it's actually very natural, and that they're right here. They're right here.
That's great advice. That's great advice. This next pearl of wisdom comes from one of our special friends of the pod, Travis Hope. Episode 67, Medium, Spiritual Guide, Warrior Unicorn, Travis Hope, from April 8th, 2024. In this episode, Travis shares his incredibly rare combination of humor, sensitivity, straight shooting, and clarity that makes everything about his work and what he shares as a medium feel truthful and uplifting. And in this episode, he's sharing some of the intense moments that shaped his mediumship and the lessons that Spirit kept nudging him towards even when he least expected it. Listen to Travis's pearl of wisdom for us. Will you leave us with a pearl of wisdom? What's one piece of advice you wish that you'd had early on in your understanding of your gifts?
Don't rush it. It's okay that sometimes we feel impatient, or sometimes we just wish we would, progress faster or move along faster.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. It means that we're picking up on, there is so much more. We're picking up on the energy that there is more, but just have fun where you're at, because that's just, it's a part of it. There's so much expansion. A lot of expansion happens when we're in states of joy. That's where the true expansion happens. So just have fun.
That's great advice. I love that. This next very special pearl of wisdom comes from Carolina Gutierrez, La Curandera, from episode 79. Psychic medium Carolina Gutierrez, transform your life with intuition, spirit guides, and purpose, from July 1st, 2024. Carolina carries such a deep ancestral wisdom in her work as a medium and healer, with her ancestral tools and medicine and spirit work that she does. And in this episode, she shares in a way that feels immediately accessible and empowering. I love this conversation because we explore the lineage of healing, working with spirit guides in real life, and the moment she finally said yes to her purpose in a bigger way. Enjoy this pearl of wisdom from Carolina Gutierrez. Leave us with a pearl of wisdom. What's one piece of advice that you wish you had earlier on in your understanding of your gifts?
Don't let other people question what you know to be true. And it's your internal experience, so they have no opinion on it. It's always you, and you know that.
Wow. Our next pearl comes from special guest Julie Riesler, episode 35, Becoming Your Youest You, with world-renowned coach Julie Riesler, from August 14th, 2023. Julie is so gifted at helping people reconnect with their authentic selves, their intuition, and she brings a level of compassion and insight that just feels like a big exhale. And in her episode, we talk about intuitive alignment, identity shifts, and the unexpected mindset pivot that changed everything for her. Here's from Julie Riesler with a pearl of wisdom. What's one piece of advice that you wish that you had had earlier on in your understanding of your gifts or the way things work?
I would say that, like, I don't think most of us truly know who we actually are. So what I mean is I really believe each human being, I don't care what your behavior is, what you've done or not done on this planet, is the direct lineage from the divine matrix, the creator, universe. And by that, I mean, you are made of love, from love, to love. I believe that is the core of it all. And do not for 1 second underestimate the incredible, the power of love and life and flourishing that's within you. And with it, I would just say, on a more grounded kind of answer, is to trust your inner wisdom and intuition like your life depends on it, because I believe it does. And I can tell you, I have seen in many experiences in my past, not my past life, but in this life, where really, like, it was close to life or death. And my intuition is always, your intuition is here to guide you to greater love, to greater healing, to greater service. Trust it, guard it, honor it, do whatever you need to connect with it and build that relationship within yourself. It is the most important relationship you have, is with your USG, with your intuition, with the divine. That's hands down, to me, that's it.
I love it. And those are amazing pearls. This next pearl of wisdom comes from Josephine Hardman from episode 37, Your Cosmic Library Awaits, delving deep into the Akashic Records with Josephine Hardman from August 28th, 2023. Josephine brings such clarity and depth to working with the Akashic Records. She really keeps it grounded and has a beautiful way of making the mystical feel practical. And in this episode, she shared all about soul contracts, past life themes, and what really happens when you open the Akashic Records with intention and curiosity. Listen to this pearl from Josephine Hardman. With a pearl of wisdom, what's one piece of advice that you wish that you had had early on in your understanding of your own gifts?
Oh, okay, that's big. I would say, and something that I have learned recently, actually, and I'm really trying to live it now, is that it actually doesn't matter that much to be accepted in life, like by your parents, by your friends, by like society, anyone really. It doesn't really matter that much. And I used, like, to me that was the priority in my previous life, you could say, in the same lifetime. And I was constantly seeking approval from others, and I needed everyone to agree with my choices, and to say, yes, what you're doing is good, and to get a thumbs up and to get validation. And it was so freeing when I realized, oh, it actually doesn't matter that much. And the more authentic I am, and the more I show up as myself, the more it benefits everyone else too. Because it just frees them to be themselves. And it also magnetizes to me much more authentic friendships, client healer relationships. So the clients that come in, the students that come in, friends that come into my life, situations, just everything is so much more aligned with who I really am at that soul level. So letting go of that need for constant acceptance, I think, is really liberating, and something maybe we can all strive.
This next pearl of wisdom comes from Brenna Gebauer from episode 33, Journey into Psychedelics with expert psychedelic guide Brenna Gebauer from July 31st, 2023. Brenna has walked countless people through transformational experiences, and in this episode, she speaks about healing and consciousness with so much grounded wisdom. In our conversation, she talks about emotional breakthroughs, navigating expanded states, and she answers so many questions about all of this psychedelic healing that we have heard so much about. Plus, she lets us know what she sees most often in people who are ready for change. Enjoy this pearl of wisdom from Brenna Gebauer. With a pearl of wisdom, what's one piece of advice that you wish that you had early on in your understanding of the way this medicine works, or what it can do for people?
I can feel myself activating just with this question. To me, this all comes to self-love. And we have looked at love as this conditional external relationship. And when you can cultivate a relationship with love within oneself, just like genuine, unconditional love, it changes everything about the way that you show up in the world and the way the world shows up for you.
This next pearl of wisdom comes from Selena Gray, episode 89, Reframing Your Money Mindset for Abundance and Wealth with expert Selena Gray, from September 16, 2024. Selena has such a refreshing, soulful perspective on money, and she really helps reframe abundance in a way that feels empowering instead of stressful. And who doesn't need a money expert giving guidance in their life? In this episode, we dive into money wounds, energetic alignment, and the sneaky beliefs that can keep people stuck without even realizing it. Hear this pearl from Selena Gray. You leave us with a pearl of wisdom. What's one piece of advice that you wish you'd had earlier in your understanding of how abundance really works?
I really believe this concept in borrowing the belief until it becomes your own. So abundance feels like this foreign concept. And I really believe that people around us have different forms of abundance that we can borrow and learn from. And so when we see someone doing something that feels abundant to you, to just ask them, like, that comes naturally to you. Tell me what that feels like, and then you start practicing. And so one of my themes in this company is borrow the belief until it becomes your own. And we can do that with strategy, mindset, abundance, anything. And so we don't feel strong enough sometimes to do it on our own. But if we're in a community with people who already have what we desire, we can borrow their belief they have in us, or borrow their intellect until it becomes our own and we can keep running with it. That's something that I believe as entrepreneurs is vital.
Our next special pearl of wisdom comes from Carrie Cardozo, episode 112, How Loss Led Carrie Cardozo to Mastering Her Psychic Gifts, from March 17th, 2025. Carrie's story is such a powerful reminder of how intuition and healing often open up or enter our lives through some of our most heartbreaking moments. In this powerful conversation with Carrie, she talks about how grief reshaped her gifts and helped her to move them to the surface and into her life in a different way. The things that she sees from spirit now, and the moments that she knew she couldn't ignore her calling anymore. Enjoy this pearl of wisdom from Carrie Cardozo. Will you leave us with a pearl of wisdom? What's one piece of advice you wish that you'd had earlier on in your understanding of your gifts?
Yeah. I would say the one piece of advice is get really good at being wrong. I speak this a lot. A lot of psychics, like, the whole thing about being psychic is being right, is getting right information, is being accurate. Yeah. Get really comfortable with being wrong, because there's so many lessons in the inaccuracy, in getting it wrong. And there's no shame in it. Let your ego go as you're learning to tap into your psychic abilities. The ego is just, for one, it's going to block the right information from coming in, but it's going to hold you back. When we're learning our psychic gifts, if you get it right, oftentimes there's no drastic change in your life. If you get it wrong, like they tell you to put your shoes on and you walk out of the house and don't put your shoes on, you're going to recognize it. If you thought they told you to put your shoes on and you put them on, you're going to constantly be wondering, did I hear them? Did they actually say that? Or was it my head? So there's so much growth in the getting it wrong as a psychic, and it's going to get you to get to a place that you very rarely get it wrong. So allow yourself to be in that.
This next pearl of wisdom comes from friend of the pod, Suzanne Kullberg, from episode 121, How to Set Soul-Aligned Boundaries in Everyday Moments, with Suzanne Kullberg, from May 19th, 2025. Suzanne brings so much humor, compassion, and a lot of real life wisdom to the topic of boundaries, especially for sensitive people. And in this conversation, we explored micro boundaries, energy leaks, and why saying no in the right moments is actually intuitive protection. Hear this special pearl of wisdom from Suzanne Kullberg. Will you leave us with a pearl of wisdom? What's one piece of advice that you wish you had had earlier on in your journey?
When you stop people pleasing, some people will not be pleased.
I love it.
But most, cheerleading for you and like, oh, thank goodness, especially the ones who love you most, your friends, your family, your partner, if you have one. They'll be like, oh, thank goodness, she has a backbone. They like it. They appreciate it.
Well, it gives them permission to also say, I don't like smelly perfume or whatever.
Yeah, it's so freeing to live a life where you don't have to worry about the backlash and stuff, because people will just be honest with you too. And sometimes other people's responses to you can sting, but then it's like, that's just how they're feeling at that given moment. Nothing to do with you. Like, don't take so much life personally, and then life will be so much more joyous.
Our next pearl of wisdom comes from Gail and Gregory Hogue from episode 85, Secrets of Sacred Geometry Revealed, with Masters Gail and Gregory Hogue from August 19th, 2024. Gail and Gregory really opened up in this episode an entirely different way of understanding the universe, and the depth of their knowledge around sacred geometry is just fascinating. And in this episode, we had talked about frequency, energetic architecture, and how all of these unseen patterns creating our world that are all part of sacred geometry really help us in our intuition and in our healing. Enjoy this pearl of wisdom from Gail and Gregory Hogue. Will you each leave us with a pearl of wisdom? What's one piece of advice that you wish you had earlier in your understanding of sacred geometry?
Oh, I think the most important thing is go from your head to your heart. Take it in here. Yeah. It's really fun to intellectualize it and to try to figure it out and all that stuff. And that's a part of it. However, take it in here and experience the essence of what it offers to you.
It's beautiful.
I think one of the things I am constantly learning is what's happening now is perfectly perfect, and that timing is not something that can be figured out in the head, but it's something like part of the questioning that we had a little bit ago, it came down to allowing. Yeah. So we have to allow the universe to do what it does with us in the space of the perfect timing for everything, and not try to push the space, but to be happy with where we are right now, each moment. So if we can be totally present each moment, it'll be perfect.
That is a really important piece of wisdom. This next pearl of wisdom comes from friend of the pod, Kim Sear, from her first appearance on episode 71. Medical intuitive Kim Sear is sharing her secrets with you for May 6th, 2024. Kim is an incredibly gifted medical intuitive who can read the body's energy and help people understand illness, disease, wellness, has amazing precision in her work. And in this episode, she shared what illness looks like energetically to her as a medical medium, how the body communicates spiritually, and some of the messages that she receives most often during readings. Please enjoy this pearl of wisdom from Kim Sear. Will you leave us with a pearl of wisdom? What's one piece of advice you wish that you'd had earlier in your understanding of your gifts?
Trust what it is that you hear. When you have a hunch about something, trust it. Don't let someone else try to change your mind when you have a hit about something. Don't just push it aside and think, well, that's silly, that's just my brain. No, I can actually teach you so that you can decipher clearly when it's your brain and when the communication is occurring. So,
yeah, that's great advice.
And you can do it. You can do it.
Yeah. I think that's a big one too. Next up in our pocket of pearls comes Kara Goodwin from episode 83, Exploring the Power of Meditation Available to You with Kara Goodwin from July 29th, 2024. Kara really makes meditation feel doable and meaningful no matter where you are on your spiritual journey or your meditation path. And in this episode's conversation, Kara and I talked about the nervous system support, intuitive clarity, and small daily practices that create big energetic shifts for you over time. Here's a pearl of wisdom from Kara Goodwin. Will you leave us with a pearl of wisdom? What's one piece of advice that you wish you'd had earlier on in your understanding of meditation?
I would just reemphasize the importance of our own personal power and being careful and mindful about how important it is to stay sovereign, to stay in our freedom. And it doesn't mean that we don't have teachers that we respect or that we don't learn from other people. Learning from other people can be a shortcut for us.
Yeah.
And we also just, I just see so much like this putting people on pedestals and, like doing, and it would do anything for somebody that we put on those pedestals. And that's not necessary. And it actually is it's a hurdle that we have to ultimately overcome, because the more that we're letting anybody interfere with our own connection and our own intuition, then that's to our detriment. We can only go so far in our own path while still like looking for somebody else to tell us how to be,
Yeah, that's great advice. Our final pearl of wisdom in this episode comes from Nikki Durga from episode 19, Finding Your Truest Path with intuitive medium and mentor Nikki Durga from April 3rd, 2023. Nikki has such a warm, beautiful spirit about her just as a human being. You can tell that there is a depth to her as a soul. And she has a very special way of guiding people back towards their own soul's truth. In this episode with Nikki, we talk all about her gifts as a medium. She shares insight about life purpose, inner nudges that you shouldn't ignore, and the real life crossroads that helped her shape her own intuition. Here's this final pearl of wisdom from Nikki Durga. Leave us with one pearl of wisdom. What's a piece of advice that you wish that you'd had early on in understanding your own gifts?
You know what I want to say? It's different than it's not about my gifts, but I think it can be applied to that. There's been this theme that I feel like I'm sharing this a little bit lately, and I just feel like this is a great opportunity to say this. I feel like people don't always realize that the magic is in the darkness. Like a lot of my clients, they want to fast forward, they want to bypass, they're focused on where they're not. They're focused on ahead of where they are, and that's the goal, and that's where they want to be, and they're missing the magic in even in maybe the shitstorm that they're in the middle of. It absolutely did play into my gifts opening. It absolutely plays into how much wisdom I have to share with my clients, and it has shaped my work to I guess I just always had a knowing that in all of the dark times, in all of the challenges, that not to say, oh, everything happens for a reason, because I think that the people just way overuse that, but there is wisdom, and there's magic, and there's depth in going through that absolutely shapes who we are becoming, and it shapes our future work, no matter what that work is. And so I would say try not to fast forward through that, and try not to feel defeated that you haven't arrived at the finish line yet, because you might be leaving a lot of depth on the table.
What an absolute gift to spend time with these voices again and to spend it with you. I love hearing these pearls all together like this. It reminds me of how many different paths there are, how many unique expressions of these gifts there are in so many different ways, how many ways that intuition works through us, and how beautifully unique each person's journey is. And the best part of it is that you are also on your own journey too, one that's unfolding in ways you might not even realize it yet, moment by moment. And as you move into the energy of this new year, my invitation to you is simple. Let something from this episode soften you, inspire you, or stretch you just a little out of your comfort zone. Maybe it's a reminder to trust your own timing. Maybe it's permission to begin. Maybe it's the courage to keep going, even when you don't have the whole map yet. Whatever spoke to you, just hang on to it and honor it. And thank you for showing up for yourself today by tuning in. Thank you for being a part of this amazing community. Every download, every listen, every message, every moment you spend with me here truly means the world to me. If a pearl hit home for you today, let me know which one it was. I absolutely love hearing what resonates with you most. And actually, I would even love to hear your pearl of wisdom too. You have been on this earth for however many moons you've been here, and I'd love to know what is one piece of advice that you wish you had known sooner in your journey, spiritual or otherwise. And tell me the story behind it. I love to hear the story. Email me your pearl and let me know if I can share your name or if you want me to keep your name private or make up a name for you. And who knows, you just might hear your own pearl of wisdom on a future episode. You can send all of those to admin@joyfulmedium.com. And before we close today, I want to give you a little whisper of something that I have exciting, brewing, and coming up at the end of January. I can't say much yet, but it's going to be an incredibly powerful reset, the kind that helps you step into the new year with clarity and real energetic momentum for yourself. So make sure that you are on my VIP Insiders community email list, and that you keep an eye on my website so you don't miss anything. You can go right to the homepage of my website, joyfulmedium.com, and there is either a free mini course or maybe at the time you're listening to this, if you're listening to it a little bit after it's released, you might see the next free educational opportunity that I have coming up that we're talking about here. Here's to stepping into 2026 with intention, alignment, and a whole lot of magic. Happy New Year, my friend. Big hugs, lots of love for me. Bye for now from inside Spirit Speakeasy.